time has come to do away with all the confusing definitions, the illusion of opposites, and the myth that the world is too complicated to properly understand. All of these issues are far more simple than we could have imagined. There is the approach of collectivism and the approach of individualism. Now that we have examined the true origin of human rights, the fallacy of group supremacy, the immorality of using coercion, and the need for equality under law, one question remains. What is the proper role of government? Collectivists believe that the proper role of government should be positive, that the state should take the initiative in all aspects of the affairs of men, that it should be aggressive, lead, and provide. It should be the great organizer of society. Individualists believe that the proper function of government is negative and defensive. It is not to provide, but to protect. For if the state is granted the power to provide for some, it must also be able to take from others. And once that power is granted, there are those who will seek it for their advantage. It always leads to legalized plunder and the loss of freedom. If the government is powerful enough to give us everything we want, it is also powerful enough to take from us everything we have. Therefore, the proper function of government is to protect the lives, liberty, and property of its citizens, and nothing more. We hear a lot today about right-wingers versus left-wingers, but what do these terms really mean? For example, we are told that communists and socialists are at the extreme left, and that Nazis and fascists are on the extreme right. Here we have this image of two powerful ideological adversaries pitted against each other, and the impression is that somehow they are opposites. But what is the difference? They are not opposites at all. They are the same. The insignias may be different, but when you analyze communism and Nazism, they both embody the principles of socialism. Communists are clear that they embody socialism, and the Nazi movement in Germany was actually called the National Socialist Party. Communists believe in international socialism, whereas Nazis advocate national socialism. Communists promote class hatred and class conflict to motivate loyalty and the blind obedience of their followers, whereas the Nazis use race conflict and race hatred to accomplish the same objective. Other than that, there is no difference between communism and Nazism. They are both the epitome of collectivism, and yet we are told that they are supposedly at opposite ends of the spectrum. There is only one thing that makes sense in constructing a political spectrum, and that is to put zero government at one end of the line and 100% at the other. Now we have something that we can comprehend. Those who believe in zero government are the anarchists, while those who believe in total government are the totalitarians. With that definition, we find that communism and Nazism are together at the same end. They are both totalitarian. Why? Because they are both based on the model of collectivism. Communism, Nazism, fascism and socialism all gravitate towards bigger and bigger government because that is the logical extension of their common ideology. Under collectivism, all problems are the responsibility of the state and must be solved by the state. The more problems there are, the more powerful the state must become. If you accept the principle that government must solve society's problems, you get on the slippery slope and there is no place to stop until you reach all the way to the end of the scale, which is total government. Regardless of what name you give it, regardless of how you relabel it to make it seem new or different, collectivism is totalitarianism. In fact, the straight line concept of a political spectrum is somewhat misleading. It is really a circle. You can take the straight line with 100% government at one end and zero at the other, bend it round and touch the ends at the top. Now it is a circle because under anarchy, when there is no government, you have absolute rule by those with the biggest fists and the most powerful weapons. So you jump from zero government to totalitarianism in a flash. They meet at the top. When dealing with a circle, the only logical place for us to be is somewhere in the middle of the extremes. We need social and political organisation, of course, but it must be built on individualism, an ideology with an affinity to that part of the spectrum with the least amount of government possible, instead of collectivism with an affinity at the other end of the spectrum with the most amount of government possible. That government is best which governs least.
There's something happening here, but what it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there, telling me I got to beware. I think it's time we stop, children. What's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.